Hello, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While. It's a show in which I chat with authentic, heart-centered experts about interesting topics to spark and inspire and motivate both personal and professional change. Today's topic is why your competitors, why are they in the media and you're not? Well, this conversation is worth your while because you do have unique gifts to share with the world. And the best way to build credibility and build authority is through the media. And guess what? If it's not you out there, it's going to be someone else. So today we're going to share how to go from established to known. I'm Linda Bucher. I am a speaker and a master certified life coach. And I got a whole long story about how I lived the life of a chameleon and a victim for like 45 years before I discovered who I am, connected with my passion and purpose, but really, most importantly, connected with my gifts. So now I get to confidently unleash those into the world. I'm so glad about having my guest here today because she's going to help me do that even better. And now it's my privilege, though, to help you do the same in your life. Every one of you has a rich, full life to lead, and you have important gifts to give to the world. You actually have a splash to make, and you're not going to be able to do that if you don't know your worth and you're not clear on that purpose or even how to get your gifts out to the world. So we're going to talk about that. If you want to, you can just go hop on right on my website, lindabucher.com, and you will see a button all over the place that says chat with Linda. Let's get on the phone. I'll give you a little sample session and we'll actually get you some awesome clarity. Okay, back to today. Today, my guest is Christina Daves. She is a PR strategist who has been all over the media. You may have seen her, you might recognize her. She's been everywhere. And she's making big, beautiful ripples in a positive way, helping people who have big gifts to give to the world, and that's you, to really get them out there in a substantial way that builds credibility and authority. So Christina, thank you for being with us today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you do, how you do it, why you do it, how you're making these beautiful ripples in the world?
Yeah, I found that, we all have a gift. We all have something that we're passionate about that we do for a living, but so many people feel like the world's best kept secret. I speak a lot and I would say that and people's eyes just light up like, how did you know? Because it's so many of us. So what I do is help them stop being the world's best kept secret and sharing their gift with the world with a much bigger audience. And it's so easy to do that through landing in the media.
Well, that's fantastic. And as soon as you say that, a lot of people are like, whoa, media. Ooh, cool media.
Right.
Whoa, media. I mean, I have the same thing. I mean, I've done some things, but I get it. It's like, okay, I feel that way, right? I feel like the best kept secret in many ways. And I get out there and I do a lot of talks. I do a lot of speaking gigs, but that's not media. That's a little different thing. And when I've been approached to do some media, it's like a certain segment on a spot where I'm like, no, my people aren't watching that. So I'm not going to pay to do that because it's not going to reach my audience. So there's some, we know we need to be there, but we're not really sure how. And when we're approached, we're like, well, I don't know if that's the right way. So I'm not going to do that. And I don't know if that's right. Because there's a lot of stuff coming at us like, oh,
Right.
do this, be on this show, be on my this, but it's all usually, paid. And so we're like, yeah, but what should I pay for? What shouldn't I pay for? It's very confusing. So I'm so glad you're here today.
Right. Don't pay for anything. Don't pay for a press release. Don't pay to be on TV because they have to say sponsored. And when you see an ad in a magazine, what you want to be is interviewed on your expertise. What is your gift? And it's what we call editorial. So, and once you pay, everybody knows that you've paid and they're like vultures. And everyone's going to come to you like, oh, she paid $5,000 for that. We're going to get her here, here, here. You never want to pay. You want to be an editorial thought leader. You want to be someone who's interviewed regularly in the media. My media, I do a lot of lifestyle segments. I'm on TV every single month. I do not pay. I bring them great ideas. As a matter of fact, I literally just booked today for a segment in a couple of weeks. I'm walking the walk. So, but it's something that's valuable to their audience. And that's really important to know who is your ideal client or customer? Where are they? What are they reading? What are they watching? And then how do you pitch to that media outlet where you're going to get a yes? It's building a strategy.
Yeah, I think that's where most people, what they don't know, they're just like, like, oh, be on TV, right? So I'm going to approach the local morning show and pitch them and, get on. But that's not a strategy. That's one thing. We do need a great strategy. And I think that's probably why it takes people so long to do things, because they don't really know what order to do things. They don't know where to go. And that's where people like you come in, because I mean, like, I love that you walk your talk. I watched a lot of your segments. I've listened and watched your podcast. And there's a lot more to it. It seems obvious when you say it, but then we're like, yeah, but okay, now I got to do it. It seems like a lot, right?
Yeah. But if you plan it out, if you do the strategy of what can I pitch for an entire year, like really think ahead. And I work with my clients, we build out your calendar. So you have it. So okay, in March, I'm going to, pitch this. In July, I'm going to pitch this. In December, things that are related to your industry. And you want to do timely relevant things. So they have to give you a yes. If you just pitch a generic story, it might go into a folder, even if it's a great story. And I learned that when I got booked or got an interview 12 months after I pitched the story idea. But if you make it timely and relevant to seasonality, to things happening in the world, to a particular month, whatever that is, they have to give you the yes or no right away.
Right.
And if they like the story, you get the yes. You give them a good, timely, relevant story that makes sense for them. That's how you get the yes.
Right. And I've heard that before. I've been trained in that before, basically. So that sometimes takes a little research. What is timely? And how far ahead of a season? I've pitched articles seasonally that I was too late. I was like, it's October and I'm pitching something for Thanksgiving, right? For November. Like, no, that's too, So it's really, you're thinking seasonal when you're in the season, right? I love you're planning your calendar ahead.
Well, you have to know. So TV is 2 weeks out. Your local TV, national, 3 or 4, depending on what it is. So like you said, though, pitching, if it's a magazine, they're 4 months out. So if you've got a story for October, like you just said, you have to go back September, August, July, June. That's when you're pitching that. And I learned that the hard way, pitching the holiday gift guides actually close in June or early July.
Wow.
So, right. If you don't pitch then for your product, you're not going to be in it in December, maybe on the .coms, but the actual magazines. So knowing those lead times is really important. Regional magazines are like 2 months. Newspaper, I mean, if it's breaking news, it's that minute. You got to jump on the phone and be the first one to, call in. Right. But if it's something that's, seasonality wise, 2 weeks for TV, 2 months for regional, 4 months for national. And same thing with print is about 2 weeks, like your local newspapers,
right?
Your dailies.
Right. And these are things people don't know. So that's lovely. Thank you so much. And
Right.
Also, the actual media that you're choosing, that's probably, tell us about how is that dependent on what you're like, if you're pitching a product or like, I'm a thought leader, I'm pitching ideas,
Right. But again, it's who's your ideal client? If my podcast is geared towards women over 50. If you came on and that was your ideal client, I would tell you to pitch AARP. If you're working with 20 somethings, you might want to pitch BuzzFeed. So it's knowing the demographic, who's reading O Magazine, who's reading Real Simple, who's reading Entrepreneur, who's reading Inc. And then finding the right section, especially the online ones, like where do you fit in? Because that's, if you're always say, if you're pitching your business book to the food editor, they're not going to forward it on to the right person just because. And I did this, you guys, I made this mistake. I'm like, oh, I found this person at Forbes. I'm going to pitch them. They had nothing to do with anything that I did. I was just so excited that I had found a contact. So really doing your research, it's important. Find those 5 or 10 journalists that cover your industry and see how they cover it, what they cover, and then how you can make your way in to be an expert for them.
Right. Now, let me ask you this question. So that's a skill that not everybody has, right? So I'm a coach and a speaker, not a researcher, right? So when someone works with you, are you saying, oh, you're in this field, I want you to pitch this and this, because you have all this experience, but in this field, right? So they don't have to like go, what, where do I start? Giant big research
Oh,
project. Ah.
yeah.
That's where I
We
would
do it. We together. We figure out, you'll have some ideas, I'll have some ideas, and then I'll tell you why my ideas are here. But yes, no, we don't go blind. I've got a new client who's in the financial space, and there are certain places he wants to be, but I'm also really encouraging him to go in his backyard on his local TV. He's got a good look for TV. He's got a great voice. He'd be perfect for it, because then will he get clients from that? Maybe, maybe not, but he's got a credibility piece of being regularly featured on TV. And people love that. They do. There is such a credibility that comes with it, that even I worked with a local florist who, I mean, her business is local. That's it. There's no national. She doesn't have an 800 number, but she was named the nation's best florist on the Steve Harvey show. Huge for her local credibility, that everyone knew, oh, Karen's florist, that's the one that won the big award. I'm going to use them. So
Right.
it's strategizing that way as well.
Right. That's a really great point, because a lot of people think of advertising in some way. On TV, we think of it as being an advertisement, right? We think of it like, I want to advertise to get clients. And you're saying, no, well, yeah, but you want to advertise to build authority and credibility. And so then when people find you, they go to your website, they're like, oh, she was on this show and that show, and he wrote this article for this magazine and that magazine, right? And that way you're showing that, like, other people want what I have to say, and they showcase what I have to say. So if they want it, you probably want it too. So this is the credibility and the authority.
Right. And I want to reiterate, what I'm talking about is not advertising. You're not paying for it. It's editorial. It's what they call earned media. Somebody else telling the world how great you are. It's ABC, NBC, the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune, whoever that is, saying, Linda's awesome, and we're going to quote her because we've checked her out and she's great, and we want her in this article. You pitch an article and they are going to check you out. That's really important, part of what I do with my clients too. You need to check out. If the media lands on your website, they land on your LinkedIn, wherever that is, you need to show up as the expert that's pitching that story.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And even part of the way to do that, what's really good about this authority is, like, even on my website, I have the logos of all the places I've spoken at. Well, maybe not all, but a lot. There's probably 30 of them out there. It shows I've already done all this, been here, been there, and they brought me in for a reason, So
yeah. And media begets media. Right. Just like you said, if they come to your website and they see the logos, they're like, oh, we can use them. That's great. Check.
Right. Beautiful. Oh, that's really great. What about, do you work with speakers?
I do. I work. So everybody, and I always make my clients niche down. You can't work with everybody. But the reason I can is because I make you niche down in my strategy. So I have a strategy that works for speakers, for coaches, authors, doctors. I've had all of these clients, but then we have to take my strategy and put it to your profession. And everyone is different in that regard.
Right. And what that brings up a really good point, because, like, one of the things I'm always helping my clients do is to live authentically, live like, who are you? Right. So if it feels like pulling teeth to write an article, don't write an article. Right. Be like, me, I'm a good writer, and I do write, but I would much rather talk. My stream, it comes out, it's way better that way, way better when I'm coaching someone, or even when I'm speaking. I don't memorize a script ever, never. Like, that seems to, like, a whole bunch of work to me. I don't want to do. I know my stuff and I just want to get it out. And so to me, being on podcasts, being on videos, just having conversations with people, being up on a stage, like, I love that. And for other people, they're like, no, I don't want to do all that. I want to feel like this is, because my personality is like, woo, kind of out there, like, a lot of people who that's not who they are, right? So we've got to fit, right? You fit the recommendations, the strategies to who they are. And I don't mean only what they're comfortable with, because the only way to get big to step into the big shoes you belong in is to get a little
Right.
comfort zone, because that's where all the magic happens, right?
Right.
So it's not about staying
Exactly.
comfortable or small, but it's about staying in alignment with what's natural with you and what feels true for you. We're all about truth and alignment, authenticity. This is how you're going to show up your best in the media, right?
Right. And you're going to evolve. If you looked at, and I would never show this to anybody, but I keep it on my computer just so I remember. The first video I ever did before I was ever on TV, ever spoke on a stage, I literally had sticky notes around my laptop. And I was like, hi, I'm Christina Daves. And I went like this through. It's so bad. It's so bad. But now I'm on stages with thousands of people, and I'm on TV. So it's muscle memory. You just have to, I was so uncomfortable. I used to do podcasts in my basement with water because I was so nervous. I had no saliva in my mouth. And I would go to podcasts that had no listeners. Like, I would go on anything, 100 listeners. I didn't care. I just needed to get over that fear and get to a point where I could do this. And so it could evolve. If you had told me 10 years ago that I'd be on stages and on TV, I would have said there's absolutely no way. No way. I never took public speaking. But you can evolve and you can get to another level. And when you see what it does for your business, you get much more confident very quickly. When you do your first one, you're like, oh, wow, that happened. Oh, I want to do more of that.
Right. Because like, yeah, I know. I mean, that the endorphins I get when I'm up on a stage, oh my God, I'm like, give me more,
Right.
give me more,
Yes, exactly.
But I like that you are pointing out it is a process, and it's okay to, you just take like some little baby steps, take a little step at a time. But if like what I was saying about me earlier, was like, if I don't know, can't see the whole big picture, I'm like, well, how do I know when I'm going to be done? Like, I love to see the big picture. And that's where that strategy comes in again. Here's the strategy.
Yeah.
And then if we're going to back that up, like you say, the year plan, let's back that up. When I'm strategizing with a client, what happens is what's far out there is more nebulous, and it gets clearer and smaller the closer it gets to today. So that like their little homework for today is just like, look up, like what are 5 magazines that you might pull off the shelf, right? Just this 5, like something really tiny like that, right? Really small. So
Right. Or your local, your backyard is the easiest place to get media. Go to your local, the little rags, like mine's called the Bull Run Observer. That is the most read newspaper in the country. Like the little neighborhood ones. Pitch a great story. You're a local, whatever you are, and this is your big gift to the world. They love to write about things like that. So find that, whatever that local newspaper is, and give them a good pitch about who, and it's not you, it's who you serve, it's the value that you bring. And one thing I want to add, Linda, because I know a big part of your coaching is mindset. I want you all to remember, as I'm saying this to you, like, and you're thinking, oh, I can't pitch my local newspaper. I'm not asking you to pitch anything you don't know and love. Right. I'm not saying, here's a new widget, I want you to go figure out how to get this in the media. You're not a PR firm. You know this stuff. You love it. You're passionate about it. Go share your gift with the world. Use your confidence in what you're doing when you do your media pitches, and that comes across. My early pitches were no's because I was horrible in the pitch. And when I did the follow-up call, I was like, I sent in the story idea, where now I'm like, yeah, I sent this in. This is great for your audience. I know they're going to love it because blah, blah, blah. And it's this whole where they almost can't say no because you're just, you're bringing them something great.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. We need to understand who the audience is, what they want, and we need to be able to speak to why that's so important for them and what is going to get them.
Right.
And what's interesting is if you're just pitching, like, I don't pitch a client by any means. Like, I'm having a conversation with potential client.
Right.
And so then I'm talking to that client and I'm asking them, what do they want? What do they think they need? Where do they really want to be? Right. I'm asking those questions so that I can know them better and know how well I can serve them and in what way I can serve them, because I do it lots of different ways, not just coaching. But when you're talking about a gatekeeper that like a magazine, a newspaper, a media outlet, like a TV outlet. Now you're not pitching that watcher, you're pitching the gatekeeper in between. So now not only do you have to tell them what's in it for every human needs to know this, or like, yeah, well, we don't care, but why should we carry your stuff, right? So now you've got to kind of know another level, what's in it for them, how's it going to make them look good? It's another level. It's not just the level of the end watcher or the end reader, correct?
Right. Exactly. And it's just, and come up, I use this example a lot too with my clients. What do you like to watch? What do you like to read? So, and I'm working with some clients now, and they're writing like a press release that's so boring. Like one of them is a comedian, and she teaches people how to bring comedy into their business. And I'm not mean to my clients. Don't be scared if we work together. But where's the funny? Like,
Right.
you're hysterical. Put the humor into your pitch. And she rewrote the pitch, and it was like, now this is good. And I said, I can visualize you on a morning television show sharing this, and it's going to be engaging and fun. That TV's visual. If you want to do TV, you really have to bring that to the table, and you've got to bring that in your pitch. Don't just, wah, wah, wah. Nobody wants to see that. So
Right.
use an example of where you want to be and pitch them a good story that they're going to say yes to, or they could say yes to.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're bringing up that this is something you already know and love. You know your stuff. You know you're here to share it with the world, right? And what happens is our fear gets in the way. We're like, oh my God, who am I to do this big thing? I'll tell my neighborhood, but ooh, TV, what? And it gets so scary for people. And something that can really help temper that fear is your message has been entrusted to you by the universe. And your job is to deliver it. It's not just your job, it's your responsibility to deliver it. It's not about you. It's not like, oh, is she smart? Does she, it's really about, no, I've been given this gift and I got to go deliver it. So I remember thinking along a while back, like, oh, thought leadership. What, like how, who, me, little old me? But like,
Right.
I don't think I belong with kings, right? I'm just the messenger. But yeah, the messenger has to get the message to the king. The messenger belongs amongst kings. And that was a really redefining moment for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't need, my ego doesn't need to be a king, but I got a message. I got to get it to the king.
I got to get there.
I
Exactly.
got to get, my job. You and I do the exact same thing in two different ways. We both help people get their unique and special gifts out into the world and get out of their own way. Right? That's what we're doing. Get out of your own way and get that unique and special gift out to the world, because that's why it was given to you. And it's your responsibility to get it out there, right? Whether you're a singer or a speaker or a comedian or a writer, right? Like, yeah.
It's true. And by not doing it, think of all the people, you're doing a disservice to all those people whose lives you can change.
Totally. Absolutely. Totally. I know, like when I get on the stage, and I wrote this article a long time ago, which I should submit somewhere because it's a really great little article. It's called Shut Up, I'm on Next, How to Leave Your Inner Critic Backstage. That's the name of the title. Such a fun title, right? And it's about,
yeah, it's
your
great.
critic sabotages you when you have to get up on a stage and give a talk, or even if it's a presentation in front of like a table of 10 people or something at work or something like that. And one of the big things to remember that I put in the article is someone in that audience needs to hear your message right now today. Somebody needs to hear it. And that's who you show up for. Even if there's people in the audience with their arms folded, and I've had this happen, shaking their head, like, no, that's not right. That's they're like basically silent hecklers. That's what I call them. Right. And they can really throw you off your game, but you're not here for them. You are here for that one person who may have heard what you've said 1,000 times before. It's okay if your message is not unique. Coming from you today in the way you say it, given with your own personal stories, might just be like, for somebody in that audience. And that's why you show up. That's why you write that article. That's why you get on that TV segment. Correct?
Exactly. Exactly. And it will happen. It will happen. Again, that confidence is such a big part of it. And going into it from a giving mindset versus a, oh, I'm going to be on TV and I'm going to sell and I'm going to give my website and all these people are going to see me. But if you go into it with, well, I can go in and like, I make people's lives more fun when I go on TV and they love it. I post my segments, like, oh my God, I love that. I'm going to go get that. Or that was so fun. I can't wait to try that at a party. And exactly, if one person, if I could make their holiday party better or their closet more organized, or, it just makes me feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. And I really think it's important for everyone to recognize this because it takes the fear away, right? It's going to help somebody. And so you got to do it. And it doesn't have to be big and hairy, right? How can people start small? Like what is like a small first action step that you would say that if someone wants to go from established to known, what would be an action step that you say they should start with?
I would go right in my backyard, whether it's the local newspaper, the local radio station, local TV, whatever you're comfortable with, start local. They love local. Things changed a lot in COVID that you don't have to be local, but that's the easiest way to kick it off and get started.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And from the mindset point of view, from my point of view, I would say a small first action step is to get comfortable with the fact that it's your responsibility and you only ever have to deliver what you know and love, nothing outside of you. You don't have to promise something you can't do or you don't know yet. You can always take people as far as you've come. Absolutely. So when you say, who am I to do this big thing? I say, who are you not to do this thing? And it's not, it's big because it's significant and important, but it doesn't have to be bigger, too big, right? If that's a mindset, oh, it's too big, I can't do this, right? So it's about checking your mindset and saying, if I only ever have to deliver what I already know, what I am so passionate about in a way that feels authentic, and I'm not trying to sell, I'm just trying to be of service. It makes everything so much easier. So that would be the first mindset shift that people would get to. Awesome.
Easy, that exactly. Once you get that, you're gold. Then you just have to learn how to pitch. That is the first step. It really is. You've got to get over that obstacle of, I can't do this. Why would anyone want to listen to me? And then get over that, make sure you check out and then start pitching.
Well, that is beautiful. So Christina, you've been such a informative, insightful guest on Conversations Worth Your While. I want to say thank you so much for being here today. And I know that you have some kind of a gift for the audience to help them out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You just told us all this. All right. I want to start, but where? So what can I do?
Yeah. I've got a free guide, 3 steps to PR success, which kind of lays out what I've talked about here today that will give you the kickstart to get going to pitch the media. Beautiful.
Okay. I'll put the link to that. Can you just say the link out loud in case someone's not looking at the show?
Yeah, it's the number 3 steps to prsuccess.com.
Perfect. That's great. And I'll make sure I put that in the show notes for everybody. So thank you so much. I have loved having you as a guest today.
Thank you. It was great. I love to share this.
Well, it's important. It's important. You share it and then it helps people to share their gifts. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Been a wonderful, wonderful segment today. So, all right, everyone. Once again, I'm Linda Bucher, right? Can I say my own last name? Linda Bucher. I am a speaker and master certified life coach, and I'm on a mission to inspire and impact millions. Yes, I said millions. Is that lofty or what? Of people to know their worth and share their gifts, deliberately creating big, beautiful ripples in the world. So if you feel stuck, unworthy, unfulfilled, out of alignment, don't know where to start, I'd love to help you discover that you are the one you've been waiting for. So let's talk about that. You can get a little sample session with me at lindabucher.com/chat with Linda. So that is our show. Please come back next week for another topic, you lovely lifelong learners, because we're helping you grow in every single episode. Be sure to subscribe and don't forget to come back. And thank you, Christina. Thank you, devoted listeners. Woo-hoo. And until next time, please subscribe and make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.